Hello, Blue Justin here, still Justin, still not blue, and this video, I know I've only just done one anime video, and I wasn't planning on doing another one for a little while. However, I had this review all lined up for at some point in the future when it became appropriate to fit in to my schedule, but the review item in question has suddenly come up on that deal of the week from Anime Online that I mentioned in my previous video on how to save money from the specialist companies, and it is down from about $39.99 to £9.99 only. I can't remember what it's going for in Zavi, HMV, etc. at the moment. I'll put a quick reminder up here. But I got it at a good deal a little while ago, and my deal was well over twice what I could have got it for now. So I thought there's not a lot of point in doing this review in a couple of months' time or 3 months' time and saying, oh, by the way, if I'd done this review 2-3 months ago, then you could have got it at a good price. That would be very, very silly. So I'm doing it now, and I'm getting on with it, so this doesn't go on for ages. Okay, so the anime in question is a series called My Girlfriend is a Shobitch, just spelled S-H-O-B-I-T-C-H. I don't think it's the actual bitch part of it does not actually translate as it would in English. I don't know if that was done on, it was done on purpose for amusement in the translation, but I don't think so. I did look it up and it doesn't mean that at all. So that might be a happy coincidence as far as they're going along. But anyway, the main outline is that the protagonist totally adores this girl at school, and is extremely surprised when he builds up the courage to ask her out that she says yes. However, he's a little bit taken aback when, instead of just starting off as a nice easy boyfriend girlfriend get to know each other type relationship, she takes on the whole thing as though it's like a school project on how to become the world's best girlfriend, and the humour basically stems from that. I've got obviously some notes here because I didn't have time to fully sort the whole thing out in my head, so I shall be referring to those if that's okay. So right, it is 18 rated, that I shall start off with, and however there isn't actually in the main series, at least certainly, any nudity at all. However, I can see why it got an 18, and I think it's probably quite well earned, purely because the humour is driven by lewd misunderstandings in the characters, and at some points it might be even pushing sort of like what people are expecting even from a sort of like joke anime that relies on sexual humour. So the girl's intention is to be the best girlfriend ever, and basically saying everything the protagonist says or does in a sexual context type of way, and this leads to constant embarrassment for him and of the other characters involved, like his younger sister, etc. He just really wanted a normal relationship, and it just gets more and more out of hand. And in actual fact, one of the running jokes is when he starts to even he starts to pick up on the fact that it's getting just more and more ridiculous, with everything he does being misinterpreted. In actual fact, and actually saying almost, you know, why me, why again attitude, which becomes like an ongoing running joke type thing. A couple of the early misunderstandings include just simply asking him on the first date for a big list of his preferred fetishes, etc. So, which obviously takes him aback. And as a straightforward, simple example, when he, as a kindly gesture to someone who's just started going out with, asks if he can carry her school books for her, she takes that as a sign that he's into carrying heavy objects and being put out, and therefore he must be some sort of masochist, and therefore she sort of starts imagining and setting up scenarios where she can be she can please him because he's a masochist. Screen transitions are done through a sort of like playful image of a skirt being lifted, nothing revealing, but you know, it just sort of like sets the tone we're talking about here. And however, some of the jokes do push into uncomfortable territory for some people, I imagine. One of them that does spring to mind, and this is off the top of my head without my notes, is one of the days that they're out in a park and they're passing the animal petting zoo, etc. And I shall leave it to your imaginations, like what her thoughts are that he might want to be doing. So yeah, so if that is going to be too much of a shock, then it's like maybe this one isn't for you. But that, like I said, no actual things are shown. It's all sort of like in the imagination, implied, what if type stuff. However, I'm surprised, you might be surprised, the number of jokes actually do hit home really quite well once you get used to where the humour's going. And you can also pick up on the backstory is quite nice, where he meets her parents for the first time, and it becomes quite obvious that she very much gets this from her mother, who has this very same attitude and very much how she snagged her father when they first met. So we get almost the mother not joining in per se, but also thinking, oh, maybe he's into that the sort of thing as well, just about everything he says. And so yeah, that sort of follows the same line, and this is goes along its merry way. There is one line, I think there was the one part of the humour that I was a little bit down on, was there's another character in the mix who is a very good looking gay bloke at school, who obviously fancies the protagonist, but some of the humour and the language used, etc., that he uses to try and indicate his attraction to the protagonist might be pushing it a little bit far for some people, and I considered it a little bit of lazy stereotyping of gay people, with the traditional all the women absolutely adore him but he's not interested type of thing, apart from looking really good and cool all the time. Like I said though, if you're not prudish, most of the humour really does work rather well, even if it is essentially one joke spread across the whole series. In actual fact though, near the end of the series, the relationship does start to deepen a little bit as they start to understand each other a little bit better, which is nice to see that the humour actually leads to something that isn't just there for the sexual innuendo and the laughs, whatever. It's nice to have a story to back it up with. One thing in the series that I did like was they actually had some little on-screen in English explanations of why certain Japanese phrases were humorous in that context. Now, sometimes you're absolutely right that if you have to explain the joke, it's not funny. But in this case, it actually works quite well, and it's actually very interesting to find out that whilst such and such can be interpreted in a perfectly innocent way, that is also slang in Japan for something entirely different. And of course, one character is saying it in the perfectly innocent way, and the other person is interpreting it the slang way, and thus some of the humour derives from that. And that actually worked quite well. I hadn't seen that done before in any of the anime I'd watched, which I thought was quite good. I thought it was, and overall, I did enjoy this, despite my some of the criticisms that I've raised. I really did this a good watch, and I quite enjoyed it. It might not be there for multiple viewing. I might watch it again, especially for the on-screen jokes. Yeah, I think I gave it not quite a 7 out of 10. I think I gave it 64% overall. Extras do include some OVAs, which stands for Original Video Animation. You'll see this on quite a few anime releases. The OVAs are produced specifically for the Blu-rays and DVD releases, and tend to expand upon either characters or background, or do a little bit of a spin-off or a different take on what's being shown in the main series itself. Sometimes they're also higher quality pictures because they don't have to be churned out or produced for the TV series or in a certain time scale. In this particular case, I found the OVAs a really big letdown. The humour was much more crude and much less nuanced now. And I've mentioned that some of the humour was crude before, but I found this went from being clever lewd to being just slapstick rude, and it started focusing on stuff like extremely exaggerated sex jokes, inappropriate actions or comments or situations by the teaching staff at the school, who then left them to it. And when it got to the worst bit, in my opinion, was sort of like testicle abuse. I mean, I just didn't find it funny, which was a bit of a shame, because I think that it also did have, so in some other parts of this spin-off, it did extend the story in a different way, which became really strange and weird. It became sort of like other dimensional type situation, but that really wasn't concentrated on quite so much, and overall I thought it was a bit of a shame that it didn't follow the more of the way that the main series was done. But it's there obviously for completeness, which it should be, which is excellent. Yeah, it might work for you. It's just goes to prove, I suppose, that the OVAs have their place in the sense that they can do something different, and they don't have to just follow the main plot. And so it's a good example of them being able to have those different ideas. So yeah, that was essentially what I thought of My Girlfriend is a Shobbitch. Overall, a decent, entertaining watch, and in my opinion, not one that I'm going to revisit that often, but I'm certainly keeping it for my collection. I'm sorry, the reason is I haven't been able to track it down for this review. Obviously I'm doing it at the last minute because I put it away safely after I did my watch. It was a bit of a pointless exercise, me trying to track it down just to show you a case, just to prove that I had it, when the offer on Anime Online, reducing it to £9.99. Okay, that's plus £2 postage and packing, but if you happen to order something else from the site at the same time, it's still only £2 postage and packing per order, don't forget, not per item. And even at £11.99, that's an absolute bargain compared to anywhere else you're going to get it from. Like I said, I think I paid about 26, something like that. And that was a very good price, including HMV's 20% off, if I recall correctly. So yeah, since that is deal of the week, and the week ends for Anime Online on Friday, I obviously had to get this video out as soon as possible. The link direct to the Anime Online sale is in the description below, and so please use that if you fancied like investigating this rather crude but enjoyable, in my opinion, romantic comedy. And I hope you enjoyed my review of it. I do hope you'll also hit the like button to try and support the channel, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Also, in the description below there are links to my Facebook group for this channel, which isn't all anime. Just to let you know, it just happens to be the last couple of things I've done in a short period of time have been anime related. I expected this one not to be at least until after my next 2 or 3 videos, which I have lined up, but I had to get it in soon. And also there's a link to my Instagram if you actually want to talk it directly, get in touch. But mostly I'd love to see your comments on what you think, especially if you've seen it, or got comments on my review of it, or want to know more. Please just leave them in the comments below, and I will reply to all of them as I always do. Thank you very much, and see you next time.